Hi, this is Michael Uslan. You're listening to Batman on Film.
I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not gonna take this anymore!
Plug you in, my tuning up frequency. Jett and the crew, they got the remedy. Discussing bats and all his legacy. Mike is silent. Welcome to the social hour. We're talking gospel, flying power. Look in the field, the protest got the keys to the Batmobile. Lights go down the shuts about to start. Jett's listen, sucking like a dog. We're down the ways of hard. We're in deep, not sleep. Welcome to the social hour. Exploring Gotham's darkest hours. Tune in, feel the charge. Jett's at the helm with going large.
Welcome to the Social Hour, a Batman on Film, BatmanOnFilm.com, Batman-on-film.com.
There's more than one dash.
Verra.
You got there's a couple dashes in there.
All right.
Did I ever
Batman
tell
on
you the
Film.
story of Batman on Film and how I could never find the website because of the dashes, so I had to search
Yes.
in Yahoo?
I don't know how that was possible. Didn't you bookmark it after that? If you found it, didn't you just bookmark it?
No, I just typed in Batman on Yahoo and it was always the first thing that popped up.
Okay. All right. Let me get through this intro. Okay. All right. Batman on Film. This is the Social Hour, a Batman on Film podcast. Batman-on-film.com. This is episode number 195. Let's ride. Pete Verra. You've already heard Pete Verra, senior BOF contributor, is back. He's back at it, back in his Mickey Mouse shirt again.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good-looking shirt.
Thanks.
That must be your That must be your BOF podcasting shirt.
Yes, this is it. I wear Disney shirts to talk about Batman.
All right.
You know, as I take my hiatus from my online fight with Kowalski.
Okay. Well, keep that there, not here.
Just
Okay.
just keep it down there, ground level.
Yeah. That is Pete Verra. I am merely Bill Ramey, the founder of Batman on Film. And as I said, this is the 195th episode of the Social Hour. Almost about
You
to
got to
hit
do something
200.
special for 200.
What? No idea.
I don't know. Maybe get an old round table together, old school style.
Old school round table? Well,
Old school round table.
that's a good idea. Write that down. Okay.
Just keep that mute button handy.
All right.
If Justin's on the panel.
So, well, let's just get into it. We'll keep this up. We'll have a little brisk, short and sweet Social Hour. You and I have talked a lot about the DC Elseworlds banner in this space since it was announced, in 2022, 2023?
Yeah.
Whatever it takes, somewhere around there. Okay, whenever James Gunn,
The pre-existing
came on
projects.
board. Yeah. And I've gone from, that's going to be a thing. I've wrote articles about it. I've gone to where, this is not happening. This is just a placeholder until Reeves is done with the Batman saga. But it appears that James Gunn is being legit when he says that he wants to have a plethora, I don't know if a plethora, but a wide range of DC projects. And while the bulk of them will be DCU that exist under in a shared universe, there will still be Elseworlds tales, such as Matt Reeves' The Batman, which let's be fair and note that the Batman saga, the Batman and Matt Reeves coming on board with that predates James Gunn becoming co-head of DC Studios. Right, Pete?
Yeah, a long time before.
So, anyway, James Gunn, if you didn't know, Pete, James Gunn is known to answer questions on social media from time to time when asked by fans. And
doesn't answer my questions.
you ask him questions?
Sometimes I used to until I just gave up. I was,
They probably,
he seems
yeah.
to answer the
I am
dregs of
not
the internet.
don't know if I've ever asked him a question. I think I've retweeted some stuff, but he's posted because I liked what he's had to say. But
Now he spends a lot more
to
time
no
on
extent.
Threads than Twitter, so we don't actually cross platform.
So I'm not sure. I think this was Threads.
Yeah, it's
But
definitely Threads. It's always Threads now.
He was asked if everything is under DC Studios banner, how come the Penguin and Harley Quinn didn't have the little Superman,
Yeah, the
intro.
Yeah,
Intro, which is supposed to be their old. It's going to be the DCU's version of the old MGM Lion.
Mhm.
So he was asked, and he said, all DC television and film projects are now under DC Studios because Harley Quinn was developed long before us. We didn't think it was fair to put the DC Studio fanfare on there. On Penguin, which we had a small hand in developing, we have a different DC Studio animation at the end, which I did notice if you watched because I would watch those, the
previews.
I watched the preview, and then they would have that podcast. So I usually stayed on. So there was just like, it was so small. It was like the DC Studios logo. And then he says, we are currently working on the DC Studios Elseworlds opening. So I found that a little interesting. I think it says, yes, we're going to do DC Elseworlds. I don't know if he would do it just for the Batman saga, if that was all they were going to do, No?
Yeah, I've like you, I've kind of gone back and forth, and for a while I thought this thing was just kind of lip service. Just, oh yeah, this is what this is. I thought it just basically would consist of the Batman saga until it was over, Superman and Lois until it's over, and until Joker 2 came out. So I thought that was kind of and Harley Quinn, it has its run. I thought that's all that Elseworlds was going to be, but I kind of think it's a good idea that they do go forward with it, mostly because I think it separates them from Marvel. That's something I've been preaching for a while.
That's number one. I think
if you're gonna do superhero content, and what seems like to be in a time where people are tired of cookie cutter superhero content, I think the Elseworlds banner is a necessity to kind of differentiate the two brands.
Will people pay attention? Will the general audience even pay attention and go, oh, this is DC Elseworlds? I get it. Are they just, I think they're going to be oblivious.
I think, if there's a logo there, I think it would help create some awareness to it. But then again, like, I think back to the old days before Disney bought Fox, and you see that red Marvel logo in front of an X-Men movie, and people just assumed, normal people, that it was an MCU an X-Men film. So I guess it's to be determined, to be seen. I'd like to think it would create some awareness and people would take note and like, okay, this is different. But then, once the DC universe is here and you see that tone, and then you kind of see what an Elseworlds tale can bring, it might create a little bit more confusion. I'm very interested to find out, because I really don't have an answer.
Here's my thing. I think having an Elseworlds, I've said this for a long time. There should be an Elseworlds banner in front of the Elseworlds projects. And I say that I don't know how much the general audience will pay attention when they go see the Batman Part 2 or the Penguin that season 2 comes out, and there's this DC Elseworlds logo that even makes a difference. It will for some. I'm not saying it won't, but I still think you need that banner in front of these projects. Also, I think there needs to be DC Elseworlds projects at DC Studios. Not only to be doing something different than what Disney is doing with the MCU and has done with the MCU, but also there are filmmakers who do not want to be part of a shared universe, but they would like to make a film based on a DC property. So Elseworlds allows them to do that. I mean, quite frankly, you've seen it with Matt Reeves. Matt Reeves does not want, and I know the Batman was conceived, but the Batman was conceived originally during the old DCU, and even then, he didn't want it to be part of the DCU. That was when the Hamada was in charge, and his thing was, which I kind of agree with, was just, we're just going to make DC movies. Some will connect, some won't, whatever. Okay. So, someone who really, I did some deep pulls on some projects that would be great for DC Elseworlds is over on our in our Facebook group. Robert Reinecke mentioned several, but I think there are. I mean, I would love to see. I don't need to see stuff. It has to be connected. So
the thing
Batman,
is, like, when I think of Elseworlds, though, Bill, I think of almost it's a take almost like I think Elseworlds, I think Gotham by Gaslight, I think Elseworlds, I think Speeding Bullets. I'm not thinking superhero. I'm not the biggest Elseworlds fan outside of Gotham by Gaslight. Like, a lot of it is just kind of too far out there for me. Like, I'm not really interested in what happens if Clark Kent is adopted by the Waynes. That's what I think of Elseworlds. I think it's almost it's almost still a multiverse angle, and
it's a multiverse.
Yeah,
and
I'm kind of tired of that, to be honest with you. At this point,
I don't think the Elseworlds banner is for DC Studios, for DC Studios projects, is what we think as comic book readers of what Elseworlds was originally.
Mm-hmm.
It is essentially meaning this is a DC project that's not part of the shared universe. That's what it means now.
So you like possibly I see. I don't know. I can't separate
because
what
you're going to have to separate.
Been for the last 30 years, right? As opposed to whatever James Gunn.
I know you gotta take the comic book fan mind that we have and separate that. It's simply it fits. It's Elseworlds. It's not the DC the DCU.
So would you say, like, in Elseworlds, like if someone come up and said, I want to do a more grounded Superman movie than what James Gunn did, let's say in the future, like in the past, like let's say we're 4 years down the road, and someone comes up like, I have a grounded superhero movie.
I want to do a 1938 Superman where it's based on that original incarnation of Superman. Yeah, it would certainly.
Where he's leaping tall buildings instead of flying.
Yeah, leaping tall buildings. He was a social crusader.
Yeah, just to be honest with you, as a DC Comics fan, that doesn't really interest me.
But that might interest.
That
could be a good story.
It could be. But then again, it's like Joker 2, like
okay,
right before it came out, but I'm like, I'm done with that stuff, man. I want more.
But you just want it all connected.
Superhero content.
You're
not all connected. Yeah. More traditional superhero content, something, and if that's more along the lines of
that is traditional. If you did a 1938 Superman who could leap tall buildings in a single bound, was faster than a speeding bullet, social crusader.
That's maybe original. I don't know. That's not my Superman. That's not what I think of when I think of Superman.
But that is Superman.
Christopher Reeve Superman is something I think of when I think of Superman more than anything, right? Like that's it, and that's kind of standalone.
I think it's for stuff like the J.J. Abrams. Apparently Gunn has said Gunn has not dismissed the fact that he says that the J.J. Abrams Black Superman project is still in development. I think it's stuff like that. Stuff like, pull some stuff from back in the Vertigo days. Sandman. Look, Sandman. They did the show on Netflix, which I really liked. I never read a Sandman comic. Back in my mind was like Sandman is the guy with the gas mask and the fedora, Yeah. But I watched that, but then I knew of who was it? Is it Neil Gaiman? Who was
yes.
Okay. I never read any of that, but I knew about it because just being familiar with comics and the Vertigo stuff. And I watched it and I really enjoyed. So you get a season 2. You're supposed to get a season 2 of I haven't heard it's canceled, but I'm sure that will have an Elseworlds banner. It's stuff like that. Ronan. I'm just trying it off the top of my head. Some of the old. What was it? It
But
was
see,
a
that doesn't. That's.
movie,
I don't even feel like that's Elseworlds. That's just a different
but
banner.
it's a
Yeah,
DC property that's going to be developed by DC Studios, but it's not part of the connected DC universe like done Superman and Suicide Squad. There's what there needs to be. You don't want to do the same version, but it's not connected. The Batman is as close to that as we're going to get. The Batman.
I consider Batman
Elseworlds.
Returns an Elseworlds tale. That it's similar. It's close enough to Batman, but then I got it kind of a mutant penguin and a zombie Catwoman, right? Like that's kind of
Well, you're thinking
it's close enough, but it's different.
You're thinking in terms of what Elseworlds was in the comics back in the day.
Yeah. But when you say Elseworlds, that's what I think of because that's my reference
I
point.
know, but
To
that's
me,
not what
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 he's
they're
telling
doing
you is
with
in
this.
Elseworlds. It's just we're making standalone movies as part. It's again, this is just another
they're
sector of the
making
multiverse where
there's
it's slightly different.
It's Elseworlds. It's not part of the Prime, I guess DC Prime, the DCU, whatever. Where as of now, what is it? Retroactively bringing in Peacemaker, some of the Suicide Squad, and Creature Commandos, and then upcoming Superman. So it's a vehicle for DC properties to be made that would attract filmmakers who don't want to be a part of a shared universe, and also, honestly, DC properties that wouldn't fit the shared universe. I mean, like Blackhawks. That's not Vertigo. That's old school.
Mhm.
Steven Spielberg's been attached to Blackhawks period piece movie for several years. Say he makes that. I don't want this to be part of the shared universe. It's Elseworlds. It's DC Elseworlds. That's fine. Let's go. It doesn't mean all the DC. It doesn't mean everything under the Elseworlds banner is in the same universe either. They're just
Right. Yeah. No,
standalone.
I get that.
Standalone. The Batman saga is standalone. It's not connected to anything but itself.
Yeah. I'm as someone who is, like I said, a DC fan. It's hard for me to differentiate what I've been reading in Elseworlds for the last 20 years to whatever James Gunn's standalone sector of DC Comics is going to be.
It's almost more like Black Label. What Black Label is
when
now.
you see that makes more sense to me to call it Black Label than it does Elseworlds. In my opinion, that just it's a lot more clear. But then again, like I don't think the average Joe Schmo sitting, at STS getting his oil change is going to know the difference.
You brought up wanting to have some, hoping the banner has some significance in terms of showing people what this is something different, some recognition. So I think Elseworlds is better than, and I was kind of a proponent, it's called Black Label, but Elseworlds is kind of like, this is a DC world somewhere else. It's kind of more, it's got a kind of a.
You'd hope it's self-explanatory.
Yes, absolutely. I think with the general audience, okay, Elseworlds, I get it. So we're going to talk in a moment about some Batman Elseworlds projects, maybe down the line that would be cool to see. But let's talk about the logo first. I'm gonna pitch you this idea. Tell me if you like it or not. Since old school, speaking of 1938 Superman, he's he is the logo of DC Studios. Bust the old
right,
flexing your chest and breaking the chains, and that the original S and all that. So how about have Batman be the symbol of DC Elseworlds? Old school Batman, 1939, big ears and the everything.
Yeah.
Or it doesn't have to. I mean, have Batman
because then I'm thinking back to First Night, and I didn't like that book at all. You know, I'm not a big fan.
Really,
of
I'm just
jalopy
saying,
Batman.
have Batman. Have First Night was awesome, but that's another story. So,
Okay. I think
what?
Hush is awesome. I don't know, man.
Hey,
It's
DC didn't gaslight me. Was telling me how great First Night was. So I just
well, that's because
believed
they
it.
can't. You know,
I
it's
read
because
it.
it's not.
So, well, they gaslit you on Hush.
No, it's just quality right there.
Okay, we're not going to Hush. You're not going to get me down that rabbit hole. You're not.
I just
You're
to
not,
be honest,
I'm
man,
not.
like
You bring it up, I'm not mentioning it.
okay, all right, fine, moving on. But if we're just complaining about a couple years ago, too many Batman on the screen at one time, and now you're
Yeah.
gonna give me Elseworlds, you're gonna give me Jalopy Batman, you're gonna give me the Batman from the Reevesverse, and they got superhero, fantastical Batman over there. We're right back where we started from, and we are just draining the well dry. We're not making people forget about Batman a little bit. We're not making people miss Batman a little bit. We're not making them crave Batman a little bit. We're just shoving it down our throats because it's the moneymaker, and that's what people come to see.
Yes, well, I am not
again.
an
It's just I think it's an exhaustive wealth.
I'm not an advocate of just churning everything that's DC Elseworlds as a Batman project, nor do I think it will be. But let's get back to the logo, and we'll discuss projects. And I'm actually ironically going to drop an op-ed about the 5-year break between the Batman and the Batman Part 2 is actually has a silver lining, and it probably may end up being a good thing. And
I'm all for some positive spin on that, to be honest with you, because all I hear is negativity, and I want to keep positive.
It's because you hear it from fans.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, yeah. No, the point exactly. I mean, I'm on Twitter. That's in that
bubble.
With. Yeah.
General audience has no clue that the Batman has been moved twice. Batman Part 2 has been moved twice. No idea.
No,
zero.
They're too busy arguing about current events.
They have no idea that it's when it gets here, it'll be here. Okay,
I agree. I agree.
And I think you have a period right now of where we got a chance to miss Batman a little bit.
Yeah, which I think is great. To be honest with you,
and you're not going to get, which you hear this in the general audience media, and we heard that when we've seen articles. Do we really need another Batman film? Another Batman film's coming? Well, we have a break right now. So
I once knew a guy who wrote that article.
BS, okay? So, and I'm with you. We don't need to oversaturate with Batman. And I think I'll get to my article. We're on the same page with that. I'm not, it's a bummer we have to wait another year, but you know what? It'll be here. Batman Begins was 20 years ago. Can you believe that? Remember when it was coming?
I can't
wait for it to get here. So that's how life goes. That's how life.
Our trilogy flew by, man. It feels like yesterday, to be honest with you. So I'm not really, we've been on this ride before. We know how this goes. We're not rookies here. We're veterans.
Yeah. So I just throw out, and I think shout out to Robert again. After he mentioned it as well. I think I mentioned it on social media, and he mentioned it in the Facebook group. If you're going with Superman, and that's kind of like the symbol you want to have for the DCU proper, then how about a Batman logo for Elseworld stuff? Or how about different versions of Batman, just morphing one to another, and the Elseworlds banner pops up? I would think, and I'm just guessing, I'm proposing Batman because I'm a Batman fan, and also Batman would be easier.
It's a selling point.
It's a selling point. The Batman character is easier to have different stories about than Superman. Superman is pretty rigid in terms of adaptation. It's pretty rigid. We always say how Batman is a very shapeable, shifting,
malleable.
Character.
I think is the word you're looking for. He's a malleable character.
Malleable, yes. And he,
that's a Hoss term.
Adam West Batman works. So does the Batman. So does Keaton. So does So anyway,
what about Affleck?
Don't like it. Didn't like the take, but a valid interpretation of Batman.
There we go. That's for the trolls.
So there you go. I would think the logo will just be like DC Studios, and then something will come out and say Elseworlds on top of it, and that'll be it. But would you like a character like Batman to be like the symbol of Elseworlds? Not, and I'm not saying it means everything Elseworlds is Batman, but just because everything DCU is not Superman, but he is the.
To be honest, I
symbol.
could care less what their fanfare is before the movie. That's totally irrelevant to me. It's because
so they came to you. James Gunn said to you, "All right, come up with an idea for the DC Elseworlds logo," and so you go and
in my opinion, it should be different from depending on the movie. Because if Elseworlds means we're doing a different take, then it probably should be more specific to what that film is.
I wouldn't. You got to have the same logo for every project.
Logo is fine, but if it's going to turn into like a Superman busting chains or whatever, then that should be specific to Superman.
I didn't say that.
If it's the logo and then it's a Batman movie, then maybe it should be Batman oriented. If it's a Green Lantern movie, maybe it should be specific to Green Lanterns. Whatever comes before the movie, like, go ahead and put whatever you want in there. Just make a movie, make it good, and I just hope to God everyone enjoys it, because it's like I don't need lipstick on a pig, man.
As a Batman fan, okay, let Batman be the Leo the Lion of DC Elseworlds. But I think realistically, I think it's DC Studios logo, and then somehow Elseworlds is shown over it, sure. And then you go to the film, and it's what? How long were those look like? 15 seconds anyway, or less? Okay. All right. Now, just back, you know what? We can just say whatever. Is there anything Elseworlds banner, DC Elseworlds, and I'm not talking about adapting a comic book, one of the Elseworlds comic book. Now, I'm not saying, but you can. It can be other stuff. Is there anything you would be interested in seeing be made under the DC Elseworlds banner? Whether it's an HBO limited series or a film, hell, even animation, something like Suicide Squad.
In terms of adapting an existing Elseworlds tale, I hope not, because to be honest with you, most of those things I felt like I've read, they usually pop up in an annual, and I think it's complete trash. I'm not a big Elseworlds guy to begin with. I really don't know what to say here, because I don't really necessarily like the source material that they're referencing, or to an extent. It's got to be one of those things where they bring it up and I can analyze it as a fan, like, okay, well, maybe that would be a good idea. Someone has a pitch and they have a direction where they want to go. To me, I don't have that. I would much more prefer just general standalone superhero content. Myself, that would be my Elseworlds right now. Would just kind of be more of several pocket universes instead of one large.
So you would say you like the Hamada approach. We're just going to make DC movies, and if they connect, they connect. If they don't,
yeah. Because I've always felt that a shared universe, you don't have enough time to build things out properly, and you're taking a lot of shortcuts, and you're cutting certain things short because you have to get to a specific point because you have a through line story. Whereas I do prefer the Nolan approach of and the Reeves approach of I have an idea for 3 Batman movies, and then and if that's. And I would apply that to all characters, whether it's Captain Atom, your boy Plastic Man. We've seen it done with Superman. I even honestly, to God, prefer that Green Lantern movie is standalone. Like I prefer that to be standalone. That's just me. And I know a lot of people right now don't want that. They want to have their action figure play sets. But yeah, like I don't think once you get to, and we're seeing it with the MCU 20 years later, 18 years later, however many years it's been. It's kind of faded a little bit, and as much as I love Sam Wilson Captain America movie just doesn't get me Jonesins the way a Steve Rogers one does.
Hey y'all, it's Bill Ramey, founder of Batman on Film. Let's take a quick pause in this podcast for these words from our sponsor. If I was in charge, we would just be making DC films, just as you described.
Yeah.
If it connects to something else, okay, connects to something else. If it doesn't, it doesn't. You know, give me a filmmaker, give me a Nolan, give me a Reeves, whoever. Pitch. I'm doing three. I want to do a trilogy, and be gone. In the case of Nolan, Reeves, give me a trilogy. Maybe we'll do some spinoff HBO stuff to fill in.
Or to be honest, even in terms of Burton, like Burton was like, you know what? I got the idea. You guys don't want me to do a third one. I'm good. I'm done. That's it. I'll move on. You can give me an
Yes.
EP credit, and I'll hand it off to the next guy.
Well,
That's fine with me as well. You know, that's just my take, though.
here's some examples of some things that I'm going to toss out there. And you saying you're not interested, but I think these would would have already fallen or would have been under the Elseworlds banner, and things similar. Watchmen on HBO, 100% would have been an Elseworlds tale. Would have had that banner. That's one of the best DC things that they've done to still in live action, in my opinion.
Okay. Sure. Yeah. I mean, to me, again, I'm just having a hard time thinking of Elseworlds as essentially just something other than what I've known it for years. So like Watchmen to me, I know, I get that. I'm just saying,
You gotta get that
Watchmen
out
to
of
me
your
isn't
head.
Elseworlds. Watchmen is its own thing. So that's
But
my problem.
but it's not part of the DC. It would not be part of the DCU. Watchmen would have been okay. Okay, let me.
To me, that's like you could still put a DC
But
Studios
stuff
logo
like
on
that,
it, and that's fine for me. Yeah, but
it was. I mean, do you agree it was one of the best live action DC things they've done?
100%.
Okay, that's what I'm talking about here. That's what we got to see, some stuff like this. How about a HBO limited series adapting, inspired by Kingdom Come?
Yeah, that's fine. I'll be down for that.
Same thing on HBO, inspired by what was it? New Frontier.
Yeah, okay, that's fine. Yeah.
Okay.
But again, like, see, that to me is just, again, that's more traditional superhero content than it is
Okay.
Elseworlds. Like when I think
So
Elseworlds to me is here's Superman with an angle, not just okay. Here's
okay.
here's the Justice League during the Cold War, or what's it called, the Cuban Missile Crisis. You know, like it's Elseworlds to me is what would happen if Bruce Wayne became a Green Lantern. That's
So you're
Elseworlds.
kind of you're likening it to old Marvel What If.
I'm liking it to if that's what you want to, if that's the reference point you want to make, then yeah, that makes sense.
Okay,
But to me,
so
that's what Elseworlds is.
in
Elseworlds and
comics,
What If should be
we're
the
talking
same.
about different media here.
No, I get you. I get
Okay,
you.
so you got to play with me. Got to play along here with the.
I'm trying
where we're
to.
at. You know,
I'm trying to.
it's like I'm saying.
But here's the thing: like you're just not talking my language. It's just at this point, I'm just okay. Let me get to Superman and see what it is and judge. Like
Red Sun. Would you want to see Red Sun
yeah,
as or a movie? Would you rather see it as a movie or a limited series?
either or is fine.
Okay, and that wasn't Elseworlds tale.
Yeah, but that's the Justice League communist style. You know, like that's this is DC Comics with an angle. That's how I think of it.
We've had a movie of this, but I mean, it probably would fit more as a like watch. I mean, something either doing V for Vendetta or riffing off of like a sequel or some sort, kind of like Watchmen was a sequel to the comic book.
Mm-hmm.
That's the kind of stuff I'm Sandman, which will be that stuff. A lot of the Vertigo stuff. Did you read much of the Vertigo stories?
No, I actually read more Wildstorm than Vertigo, but that's not DC Comics at all.
Okay.
We're just talking imprints.
Okay. Vertigo is part of DC now, right?
Yes, I believe so.
Okay. So would there be some Wildstorm projects, some Wildstorm properties that you wouldn't necessarily like the Authority was Wildstorm, right? Or the Elite, whatever in the hell. The Authority?
No, I think that was DC. I'm
You
talking
sure?
Wildcats, I believe so. I'm not sure actually, because I never really read it.
Which is the one that they're talking about? Is it I get them
The
confused.
Authorities and Superman. Authority was a part of the Wildstorm imprint.
Okay, there you go. I know what the hell I'm talking about here. Okay. And I don't know any of the Wildstorm. So
Wildstorm was great for horror. So like I read a lot of their horror stuff.
okay. So give me something, name me something that you would say that would be cool to see it as a movie or HBO.
I mean
That's Wildstorm.
oh geez. I'm thinking like Friday the 13th. They did stuff like that. That was the stuff I was reading. So that's a completely different studio. I don't know if they even could do that. I guess the thing that pops to my mind, I believe, is Jim Lee's Wildcats. I guess you could do that, but then again, it's just at this point within the genre, and when it comes to DC, I'm done with these. I don't want to see the Authority doesn't appeal to me at all. I want
No.
to, if you're going to do
But it's
DC
already-
Comics, I want DC Comics proper. I'd rather see Captain Atom than the Authority or Wildcats or anything else. Like I'd rather get something like that. It's just, to me, this is just James Gunn sitting on a toilet just talking because he's bored. Like I've talked to some people. I'm like, you got your social media figurehead. You guys happy now? Because all he does is create controversy.
I mean, the point, what I'm getting at is I'm trying, like I said, I'm dealing with, I would prefer, as I said, just make DC movies and projects. Okay. I'm not a fan of the shared universe, but I'm dealing in what the reality is now. The reality is there is a DCU, there is a universe that's going to connect, but James Gunn also wants to develop and allow for the development of DC properties that are not going to be part of the DCU. It could be a big time character like Batman. It could be something that has nothing to do with superhero stuff, that still falls under the DC umbrella. That's why I bring up Vertigo.
Right. Yeah,
primarily.
Someone's got to have an idea and they've got to pitch it and they've got to, tell us what they got, and I can judge it from there because I'm not thinking of anything, man. This isn't my jam. That's okay, basically what it comes down to.
Before we get out of here, I can think of some more. Which I mean, it's a lot of the stuff I mentioned. You liked Watchmen. Thought it was one of the best. So you don't want more of that kind of stuff. You don't want.
I want them to get Superman right. I want a legit Superman movie. Like, how's that? Like, I want to see. I just want them to make content, and I want to enjoy it. I don't want to have to sit here and think about it. It's not my job. I'm just here to observe and enjoy and relax and sit down and eat potato chips. Like, just enough with the bullshit. Just make a movie and let's go, man.
Well, Superman's coming, but also
right. And I
other
hope
stuff's coming,
and
other stuff's coming. And other stuff will include Elseworlds projects. The Batman Part 2 is an Elseworlds project. The Penguin was an Elseworlds project. You love the Penguin, right?
Yeah, sure. I mean, but again, like that appeals to me because that's the Batman that the Batman saga seems like Batman to me. There's no angle there. So if he wants to call it Elseworlds because it's not part of his universe, so be it. To me, that's just Batman.
They did Batman Beyond with Keaton as a film. And it was Elseworlds. Would you want to see that?
That would appeal to me.
Okay. I already mentioned this, but have you ever read V for Vendetta?
Yeah, I got it right here on my shelf.
You do a Watchmen type of quasi sequel to V for Vendetta as an HBO limited series.
Sure.
Okay, because I can't tell you what it would be because I'm not a creative. I'm just throwing out ideas here.
Okay.
Have you ever read any of the Gaiman Sandman?
No.
Okay.
I haven't. That's again, like even when it comes to comic books, I like superhero
Preacher.
and saving the day.
Preacher was on AMC. That's a DC property. That would have been If it came out
Never
now,
watched
it'd be
it.
Elseworlds.
Heard about it.
Okay.
No people love it.
Did you read it when it was?
I think I have
thing?
one volume. It's okay. Not my jam. Like
Okay.
I want a guy. Me personally, like again, me. This is just me. I want a dude.
You
with
want
a
guy
kid
in
with a
tights.
secret identity. Yeah, I do. I want traditional superhero content. That's what I enjoy. Guy save city, damsel in distress. That's my jam. Criminals robbing diamond outlets. Batman stops them. That's what I want. I you know that's it. If you want to do something crazy, actually make a New Gods movie. I don't know what to tell you. Like I want
Okay, there you
traditional
go.
PC content.
That I would, to me, if I did New Gods, I would do it under the DC Elseworlds banner.
I think you could do it under the DCU, and it doesn't have anything to do with Batman. I don't think it has anything to do with the Flash. I think it could just be out there.
But then
and at some point, if Orion has to fly in to tell Superman Darkseid's coming, so be it. Right? Like, okay, if they're going to build up to a team up Justice League movie, then okay, that's fine. But like, as long as they're not shoving it down their throat, and I don't have to see Black Canary and Metron having coffee. It's just fine for me. Again, me personally, I just want traditional superhero content. That's what I like. That's what I enjoy.
Fair enough. So don't go see the Batman.
That's not true. That is traditional superhero content. That's Batman solving crimes, investigating, working with Commissioner Gordon. That's not Elseworlds. Elseworlds is
what you're saying is if it's Elseworlds, you're not interested because it's got to be comic book accurate.
No, Elseworlds got to be an angle. It's got to be this is Batman, but this is what we did with him.
What if it's just this is DC, but it's not part of the DC universe. But so we can have some, we want to do so because somebody wants to do something different, not be part of a shared universe. Apparently, that's what it is. That's what it's for.
Then that to me, that's just another DC movie.
So we don't need an Elseworlds banner.
I don't think so because I don't think the general audience is going to even actually pay attention nor care. Again, we've talked about on this show numerous times that people thought Batman Begins was a prequel to '89. These people are just there to sit down for 2 hours, 2.5 hours with their popcorn and their Sprite and enjoy their time away from reality. I don't think you're going to get that many people who are just harping in there and trying to figure out how the sausage is made.
I agree. I've said that. I said I don't think that the banner itself is going to make a huge difference to the general audience.
The film, the product after the banner is going to determine that. And, the tone, obviously the setting, people see it, whether it's 1939 or not. If you want to do period piece superhero movies and call that Elseworld, fine, so be it. That's fine. But again, like people, once they see it and they get an idea of what they're watching, I imagine that would create the difference. But a banner alone is totally irrelevant.
It should.
How many people
it doesn't?
You got previews before movies that most people don't even sit and
right?
Like
I've said it. We said it at the beginning. We're sitting here as we're finishing up. I think the banner, there should be a DC Elseworlds banner in front of DC Elseworlds projects. Mm-hmm. I think there will be. Obviously, James Gunn has said they're working on one. To me, this is James Gunn trying to build goodwill towards fans because there's a lot of bad taste in a lot of fans' mouths. Look, if they're not going to make Elseworlds projects, then I don't think he would come out and say we're developing the DC Elseworlds banner right now as we speak. So
no, there's no doubt he's developing it. I think
it's a thing. You're back to thinking you don't think it's a thing anymore. It's just a placeholder until Reeves is done.
When I see Val Zod on the big screen, I'll believe it's a thing.
What have you seen him on HBO?
Whatever screen is on. As long as I see him on, it's not a thing until I see it.
I think there needs to be not only just the logo, because I don't think that's going to push the needle of let people go, oh, okay, this is DC Elseworlds. The other's just DC. That doesn't matter. It does, and you're correct. To the general audience, they go in and get entertained. That's all that matters. They don't care about continuity. They don't care what's this and that. That doesn't matter. I'm with you. But a point you brought up earlier, They should do something different than Disney did with the MCU. Having
100%.
films, having DC films, DC properties, DC HBO projects that are not part of a shared universe, that are edgy, R-rated, whatever, PG comedies. I don't care, that aren't part of the DCU. That's different than the MCU. That's different than Disney. Disney would never make the Iron Man and have a completely non-continuity version of Iron Man that wasn't Robert Downey Jr. and it's part
I
of
agree.
the
I agree with you on that.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That kind of stuff is welcome. Then we can get into, okay, we don't need to overdo it with one particular character. I wouldn't mind Red Sun. I think that would be either HBO limited series. I think a movie would be great. Do I think we'll end up getting one? I don't know. I doubt it. And that's an old school Elseworlds project. But
To me, that stuff, honestly, that's direct to home video. That's when you tell me those things, that's what I think of.
Like what? What do you mean?
Like Superman, Red Sun, like those are DTV.
Well, we had a.
No, I get it.
We had the animated version, but you can't tell me that premise can't make for like an HBO series would be pretty compelling.
Yeah, no, it could. I'm not arguing you, but again, it's like I feel like, again, I'm a huge fan, as are you, and I feel like I've seen that before.
Yes, but you don't make the graphic novel verbatim.
Mm-hmm.
Make it, it can be it could be the premise, and you take the premise and do something else with it, or something,
That's true.
That's why I got, someone was mentioning, and we're going to get out of here. I think it was in a Facebook group about not liking Gotham by Gaslight animated film. And I'm like, I really liked it. And I was like, well, it was different from the book. Well, that's why I like it, because I didn't know what was going to happen.
Yeah.
I've read the book.
No, I'm with you on that. But then again, at the same time, I also love Dark Knight Returns and Batman Year One animated. And those are essentially page for page.
How about Dark Knight Returns HBO series?
Sure, it's just still.
That's the only way you can do it. I don't think you can do it in film. You can't tell that story in a film. If you're going to do it, you do the Dark Knight Strikes Again, but you do a completely original story. Kind of like
God, please don't even. No,
I'm just saying.
Strikes Again.
No, you make a sequel, but it's not the Frank Miller book. It's kind of like Watchmen.
It's already better then.
it'd be just like Watchmen, which was a sequel to that comic, even though it doesn't. There never was a comic book sequel. You know what I'm saying? You get what I'm saying here? You with me? Yeah.
Yeah. No, I do. All
right. Well, this was a hell of a conversation.
Yeah. Yeah, it was. I just, I'm just.
Okay,
I just need
people out there listening, in the comments or wherever, if you have ideas for DC Elseworlds projects, post them in the comics, post them on social media. I'd like to hear some of your ideas. I gave you some of mine. I got others, but we're about to shut down here. But yeah, I'll just finish up. And you said you agree with me. I think there should be the Elseworlds logo, the Elseworlds banner, and when I say banner, in front of these projects, and also make these DC projects that are Elseworlds to attract quality filmmakers who don't want to do a DCU shared universe thing, or have a unique take on a DC character, whatever the pitch is. I'm not a creative, so
I still think you can.
And it makes it different than MCU.
No, I get you.
Go ahead.
I still think you can make a standalone movie within the DCU. I think you could totally.
And that's not what I'm arguing. That's not what I'm saying here. Absolutely. Hopefully, that's what James Gunn is pretty much has said. Though they're all kind of like they're on their own thing. We don't have an overarching story. We're not building up to a team up film. But still, you're with shared universe. There is continuity you share, and it still is restrictive creatively. To a certain degree, because you
Yeah,
can't go against
it's
what's
a little-
come
it-
before or
I
what's
do think
coming
it's
up.
I do think it's a little bit of a hindrance when a director can't cast an actor in a certain role. Just the
Yes,
Flash has come up
that's part of
recently
it.
with in the news. Andy Muschietti's and talked about it, and I think if he could cast his own actor in that movie, things might have been a little
Yeah.
bit different. But then again, that movie is so involved in interconnected in what happened before it that it'd be tough to do because then you're recasting roles, and that's another thing I don't like about the shared universes. Actors getting recast,
Yeah.
and I think the
I'm
MCU's
not-
gotten very lucky over the years that it's
I'm not
basically
going to
been
get.
Terrence
I don't want to
Howard
get
and other
down
people.
because I'll go down a rabbit hole on shared universes and what I think are negatives of them. But this again, and we're going to be done. It's the Elseworlds thing makes it possible to do DC projects that just wouldn't fit
Mhm.
in a shared universe, no matter how shared or not it is.
Maybe like this mangled swamp thing that we heard about that, it's kind of dark.
To me, that would be more of that would be an Elseworlds thing, but it sounds like it's going to be DCU, but whatever. So I would think anything in that line, Dead Man, Spectre, stuff like that would fit more with Elseworlds stuff. Hell, this Clayface may end up being Elseworlds. Who the hell knows, So we'll see.
We don't know till they tell us.
But
right?
I am a strong proponent of this banner, and I hope that there are projects, Batman or not, obscure DC characters or not,
Mhm.
and they make these because there's an option. We're different. We have other DC offerings that's not just shared universe superhero stuff.
To me, that I think is the most important thing. I think you have to differentiate what you're doing to what the MCU is doing. The MCU is a juggernaut. It's the popular brand. They do things a specific way. And, not just to compare it to the MCU, but to compare it against everything else that's being built right now, which includes King Kong and Godzilla. It seems like every franchise is interconnected with something else that's very similar to it. So, if you're going to do standalone stuff, I kind of just, or something that's just different, whether it's got an angle or what, I'll support that because I would like something that's not as cookie cutter as I've seen before.
All right. We'll end on that. All right.
But hold on. Before we go.
Yeah.
Who you got this weekend?
And the championship games?
Yeah. What do you think I'm talking about? Golf?
NFC, Philadelphia, AFC, Buffalo.
That's who you think's going to win, or who you
That's
want
who
to
I
win?
think's going to win. That's who I think's going to win.
Now, as the big Cowboy fan, this is
Yeah.
probably your worst nightmare growing up. The Redskins are your biggest rival, as you've told me.
I've never said that.
No?
No. I said back in the day, back in the 70s when I was a kid,
Yeah.
the Washington Redskins, who are now the Commanders, were
Traditionally.
they were the big rival. For the last 20 plus years, almost 30 years, it is not the Redskins or the Redskins, who now the Commanders are.
Well, for the last
Or
7
not.
years, the Astros have bothered the hell out of me, but the Red Sox are still my biggest rival.
Yeah. So that's, they're still a rival because they're in NFC East. But
Mhm.
as far as just like, who do you hate more in NFC East?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's been Philadelphia for
All right. Okay.
a long ass time. Yeah.
So you'll be rooting for the was it Crimson and Yellow?
I will not be rooting for either one. That would be hard for me to
Can't get a tie
stomach that
today.
game.
Can't get a tie this week. There's no tie this week.
And then I take Buffalo. I think Buffalo's just kind of on that roll, but I said that about the Lions, and Washington went up there and kicked their ass. So
Yeah, as someone who's grown up a Yankee fan, I appreciate winners and dynasties. So believe it or not, I'm pulling for the Chiefs. I like legacy. I
I'm
like
pulling.
goats.
I pulling for the old Dallas Texans
To win the whole
I
thing.
am pulling for the Chiefs.
I'm pulling for a
is-
Chiefs Washington Super Bowl. That's kind of what I'm pulling for.
Mahomes.
It's
is,
win-win for me because in
Texas boy.
Jersey,
You don't have any. You have no dogs in any of these hunts right here.
as long as Giant fans are miserable, that's all that matters to me. As long as that stupid fan base who roots for a team in the wrong
Oh my
state's
God.
upset, that's all I care about.
That's right.
So
And
yeah,
that's right in your will. Your backyard, man.
I may go to a bar wearing a Redskins hat and an Eagles jersey just to piss people off. Like I said, I got to make
That'd be
jersey in
like
the
the
closet.
biggest troll of all time.
That's you can call me Justin Kowalski then, because that's probably what I'll end up doing.
Yeah,
And I'll just say a bunch of stupid shit and make everyone upset.
Pulling for the only team that I am actually pulling for, and there's a caveat. I mean, that's limited. Is I would pull for the Chiefs. I don't have any negative. I got nothing negative on the Chiefs. I don't have any. Buffalo. I don't care. I don't care about Buffalo.
And to be honest, if the Chiefs win this thing, and then everyone's upset because Mahomes gets every call, it's a new dynasty. What is he in his 7th AFC title game?
That's just the way it is. When you're good, then the calls they go your way, even though it's just you're good. It's because you're good. It's not because you're getting
unless you're in the NHL, because Connor McDavid doesn't get any calls.
So,
apparently, that was a huge talking point this week.
Yeah, I'm ready to get this season over with and get on to next year's college football. And
you're looking forward to the
NFL.
Rangers?
I mean,
22 days, pitchers and catchers. 22.
I'll finish on this. Got this. Did you see my video of my unboxing the other day?
How you unboxed the wrong thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, I did.
That was pretty good. It was a pretty good video, huh?
All right. Know what? Your video.
Here's this. Look at this stretch. Look at this stretch guy comic.
That's right.
Patrick Johnson sent me.
Yeah.
Plastic Man, Elongated Lad, a couple other stretch guys. I'm not sure because it's the elastic.
Are you gonna? You should get a frame and put that on the wall. Don't even read it. Just frame it.
Oh, I'll have to read it because there's stretch guys in there. I'm a stretch guy, man.
You're a big Stretch Armstrong guy.
All right, announcer Rachel, finish over. We'll catch you next time.
You have been listening to the BOF Social Hour, Jett's official podcast on Batman on Film. Follow BOF on Threads at The Batman on Film. Follow BOF on X, formerly known as Twitter, at Batman on Film. To help keep BOF up and running, go to patreon.com/BatmanOnFilm, or you can buy BOF a beer at buymeacoffee.com/TheRealBatmanOnFilm. For Jett and everyone at BOF, I'm announcer Rachel. Authoritative, definitive, the original, Batman on Film, founded in 1998.